Cool. All right, we are live after a world record amount of technical difficulties. Thanks for sticking by me, bro.
No problem.
All right, bro. So probably many people already know you, but maybe you want to give an introduction for the people who don't.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So my name's Nick Hiebert. I am a former student of human nutritional science from the University of Manitoba, and I am currently like a blogger and nutrition science communicator, I guess you could say. And my online handle is the Nutrivore. A lot of people know that. And yeah, that's about it.
Cool, man. And me and you had a debate with Shawn Baker probably like 2, 3 months ago or something now. And
hmm
as you know, you weren't my first choice in that. I think
hmm
it's an interesting part of the story to say that my first choice was to ask Dr. Avi, who is an amazing debater and a doctor. You know, as I said, when I was discussing this debate with Shawn, I wanted to get someone on his level, meaning another doctor, because a lot of people see doctors as very credible.
hmm
So I said to Shawn, he's like, yeah, cool, bring someone. I said, great, I'll bring Dr. And he knew it was going to be a doctor. I said, I'll bring Dr. Avi. He's the best we've got, in my opinion, at, you know, discussing this and sharing the health and ethical side of veganism. And he said, no, I don't, no, not him, not Dr. Avi. Oh, I don't like that guy. He can eat a bag of dicks for all I care. And I said, well, you know, you don't need to like him. Who cares? It's about getting the best arguments on the table so that people can make a decision here of what the best thing for them to do is and what the right thing to do is based on the two of the best sharing all their information and putting it on the table. So why wouldn't you just, if you're so confident in yourself, why wouldn't you just go up against who I'm saying I think is the best? You want second best or
hmm
third best or something? Why? Why wouldn't you want to defeat the best, the final boss, and then you can be like, problem solved. Everyone else, come and try me. You can see that I got the answers. But instead, he got all scared. Like, no, 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 not him. No good reason. I kind of tried to force it for a while. Like, this is ridiculous, man. You know, we're trying to get to the... It's not about if you like them so much. I don't necessarily like you, mate. But I want to get to the bottom of some things here. I want us to understand, you know, what we should be doing. And this is the best way to do it. Nah. So, all right, fine. And then, you know, I watched many of your debates and discussions with people over the last probably few years, right, Nick? I
hmm
I think I reached out to you on Instagram just after I'd found you. It was actually probably 2 years ago. I remember I was exactly kind of what I was going
Yeah,
through at the time.
sounds right.
Yeah, and I was so happy to find you because, um, you know, there's a few guys who I really look up to in the vegan debating space. Ask Yourself is one of my favorites, but
Yeah,
he
he's up there
isn't.
too.
He's the best. He's, you know, he's up there with the best easily, or equal best, or in some things probably better. But he doesn't post that regularly, and I have watched probably all of his stuff by now. You know, it's my
hmm
guilty pleasure. So when I found out about you, I was very grateful because I saw somebody else being able to respond very thoroughly and very strongly and clearly in a way that I like to hear it said. For the most part, I don't necessarily agree with you on everything, but
hmm
a lot of the arguments and things I saw brought to you, I was like, I really love how this guy is responding to this, and you know, you're clearly good in, you know, the whole debate arena, you know, which is another important part. It's not just about having a bunch of facts and figures to throw at people. It's about understanding when people are going off topic and, you know, not conceding points and have contradictions and all these things that I thought you were excellent at. So you
Yeah,
were,
thank you.
yeah, bro. Thank you. You do an amazing job. You you do an amazing job, and I was very happy to invite you, bro. And thanks for accepting the invitation.
Yeah, no
So,
problem.
so
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
cool. I thought it'd be a good opportunity for you, mate. And so, you know, and most of all, I really wanted to see someone put his feet to the fire. So anyway, we had our debate, and do you want to give a bit of a summary of how you feel like it went?
I couldn't hold his feet to the fire as firmly as I would have liked to because he had a hard stop. I had to be very sensitive of the time. So like there were a few things that he said that I had to let slide. We would proceed from one topic to the other like pretty quickly. Sometimes, if I remember correctly, there were topics that had to get like hard stop and we move on to the next topic very abruptly and stuff like that. I very much prefer debates that are very free form without like a clear end in sight, without a hard stop on anybody's part, because you can very easily hold somebody's feet to the fire if there's no hard stop on anybody's part. Um,
Yeah, he gave us
Overall,
an
the
hour,
debate.
and he told us just as we got there, we're like 20 minutes deep already. He's like, by the way, I only have an hour with you guys, so we have 40 minutes left or something. Bro, we just started talking. You just found out my name. What are you talking about? You know, how are we going to get to the bottom of anything in this short amount of time?
Yeah, we didn't know that there was a hard stop until partway through the actual discussion.
Yeah. We also didn't know that there was going to be a whole crowd of his posse there talking shit
Yeah,
and like just
there,
doing what they were doing.
there was like he had an entourage that was blowing up the chat the
No
entire
one could
time. It was
see
kind of
this.
distracting. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And like just shaking their heads at everything we said and all this
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. It
I'm
was
like,
really
who are
distracting.
these
I had to like
people?
turn it
Didn't even
off.
mention them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I probably should have done that. But yeah, look, it was not much of a debate. What can you do in an hour after introductions and a bit of back and forth and a few technical difficulties and this and that? We barely scraped the surface of any of these topics, which is why we had to jump around quite a lot and didn't really get to flesh out too much of anything. But there were some interesting points I felt. I felt it was interesting that, well, first of all, you caught him on a contradiction of, I mean, maybe you want to explain that a bit better?
Yeah, so like I was running like a dialectical procedure. It's kind of like an algorithmic kind of dialectical procedure called NTT, or name the trait. And basically the idea is you ask your interlocutor, assuming the interlocutor is not vegan, you ask them, what's true of animals that is untrue of humans, that if made true of humans would cause humans to lose sufficient moral value such that we'd be justified doing to them what we do to animals. That's essentially the question. So it's just like, what's the difference between non-human animals and humans that justifies the asymmetrical treatment? We factory farm one, or we farm one at all, and we don't do that to the other. What's the difference between them? That's the sort of crux of the question. And the answer that he gave was just like being human,
Yeah.
right? Which is kind of it's a ridiculous answer
like
because yeah, it's a ridiculous answer because all you'd have to do in order for something to be morally permissible to like kill and eat the same way we do to animals, in his view, would be just to like push them outside of the distribution of humans, however he defines it. So if he defines it genetically, it's like, what if there was a person that was just so genetically different than everybody else that they were pushed outside of the distribution of like Homo sapiens sapiens? Would it be okay to like kill and eat them? Now, that's what I asked him in the debate, and he didn't sign off on it. So that produces a contradiction.
Yeah. Another thing, I mean, we don't have to talk about the whole debate right now. I guess it's just good to give a bit of background for people who didn't watch it. But, he also seemed very confused when he was like, I just kill 2 animals a year, which obviously he doesn't. We see him eating all kinds of stuff, including factory farmed animals all the time.
Yeah.
But he also, couldn't seem to figure out, neither could the 95 or 100 even % of his audience, who seemed to think you were confused about that a chicken could be bigger than a cow.
Yeah. This point,
like,
yeah.
Is this the level you guys have to stoop to think you've got a gotcha on this guy? He knows that cows are bigger than chickens, mate. Like, he's not confused about that. This is a very intelligent person we've got here. Obviously, as you speak to him and understand his views and watch his videos and things like that. So, no, that's not it. Maybe you guys are missing something. You're not understanding the question or the statements that we're making, which was that just because, let's say, theoretically, which is not what Shawn Baker does, you did kill 2 animals a year, just directly, boom. It's not just 2 deaths. If they're eating crops, there's all the crops and the crop deaths, just like they talk shit about us for all the time. There's the land that was cleared for these animals to graze. There's all the animals that these animals stand on, the smaller animals that die every single day from them walking around and stuff. So 2 animals saying that is just like ignorant, and he wasn't being able to track, or he didn't want to, or something, I don't know.
Yeah. So like I can briefly address like this cow and chicken thing. So one like part of it was a failing on my part because I'm used to having debates with kind of higher level people. Like a lot of people don't see a lot of my debates because they don't actually end up in recordings on my channel, right? I have debates with people all the time, like on my Discord server or elsewhere, and I'm kind of used to a certain level in a debate. And when when I'm in a debate against somebody like Shawn, I often forget that I need to bring it down a notch or two. So
Mm.
the way the dialectic unfolded, I asked him, what's the argument that you only are that your diet only like requires like 2 animals to die per year or something like that. And he like kind of rambled for a bit, and I was like, well, listen, like you need to take into account like all of the animals on the land that is being used to like farm these animals, be it pasture or like a factory farm setting or anything like that. You need to take into account all of these animals that are dying like on that land in order to facilitate the production of this meat, because that's the standard that you hold vegans to, right?
Exactly. And fair enough,
And
sure.
yeah, so I asked him just like, what's the argument that you only kill 2 animals per year? And he said, well, a cow is bigger than a chicken. But if you string together the dialectic, like if you string together the proposition that gets produced there, more animals die or like only 2 animals die per year to sustain Shawn Baker's diet because a cow is bigger than a chicken. That's the proposition on the table. Now, normally in a debate, I'm debating against people who are able to track that, but Shawn wasn't able to track that. Neither was his audience. So the proposition on the table was, Shawn is like only 2 animals per year are required to die to sustain Shawn's diet
And
because a cow is bigger than a chicken.
that's less than someone or something because he only can kill
And
2 cows or something like that.
and naturally, I asked him what the argument for that was, or what the evidence for that was. And the proposition that I was asking for was that one that I just mentioned, not the proposition that a cow is bigger than a chicken. Clearly, I realize that a cow is bigger than a chicken, right? Like think about how bad faith you'd have to be. Like here's a guy who brings like formal logic to the table, who has like well-reasoned arguments with like supporting arguments, learned propositional logic, learned predicate logic, learned modal logic, comes to the table with all these tools, a dialectical procedure that is very algorithmic and linear, and then you assume that the question he's asking you is like for evidence that a cow is bigger than a chicken. It's just like the most ludicrous thing you could possibly imagine, right?
Yes,
so clearly
it
that's not
was.
what I was asking for.
Shocking.
And hey, I'll take it on the chin that there was maybe a bit of a miscommunication,
That's
because
fine.
I am used to debating with people who are able to track those sorts of things and the development of a proposition, the antecedent and the consequent of a proposition. I'm able to like I debate against people who are able to track that. So when I'm in a debate against Shawn, he's not able to track that. He's thinking I'm asking something else than what I'm actually asking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll take it on the chin that maybe I could have been a bit clearer because I was dealing with somebody who's like borderline retarded. But I mean, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
extent that it was my fault,
Okay.
sure. Like there was a miscommunication, and perhaps some of it was my fault.
Anyway, for people to think that that was the thing you were confused about is very stupid. But
Yeah,
anyway,
very
moving on.
ludicrous.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, any other kind of just quick highlights maybe to go over in the debate? I was happy to hear that he would feed his clients a vegan diet if he thought it was healthy. He was like, vegan diet's good, it's great, which was weird. I was like, what are you saying, bro? You never talk like this. You're always talking shit about vegans. Now you're saying it's a good thing and a good idea and da-da-da. You're just not convinced of their health. Even though, there's me who's been vegan for 10 years. You've been vegan for how long? You've been? A few years or so now, right?
I've been vegan since August 2021, I believe. So I guess like almost 3 years.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Like he knows a lot of vegans. It's obviously obvious. And if he had looked at the literature, he would know that. And he's just making these like giant leaps of, well, meat, it has B12 and a vegan diet doesn't. So how can that be a healthy diet? How is it healthy if you need a supplement? It's just like so dumb.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah, but anyway, so we're not even here to necessarily talk about the whole debate. But we should do that another time for sure. I think it would be interesting and funny and hilarious, and I'll literally get popcorn for it because it's so stupid.
For sure.
So, and I hope we can talk another time where we get like 3 hours with Dude or someone similar, so that we can like actually make it very clear of who has the logical arguments here and who doesn't, and also the science to back it up. But today what we're going to do is talk about Joe Rogan, the man who talked a bunch of shit about us on his podcast. More you than me. Although Baker did call me a drug addict or something like that, which, hey, it's true. I smoked that shit. But, you know, it is what it is. So anyway, he talked a bunch of shit. And look, it was actually, you know, after I watched it, I was just the usual frustrated with watching anti-vegan garbage. But then I saw you responding to it as well. And I realized it was, you know, it wasn't so innocent as I really saw it. So maybe you want to share a bit about that.
What are you referring to specifically? The straw man arguments that they were spitting out?
The straw man argument in front of millions of people that has a direct impact on your credibility, among other things. Yeah,
for sure. Like the reason, like I actually like took a little bit of a hiatus because like after that happened, I have a difficult time dealing with like malevolent behavior. Like when I see malevolence, it's difficult for me to like mentally process. I think that's part of the reason I'm vegan, right? So when I saw that like this guy was just like slandering me in the worst possible way, just like calling me crazy and, you know, calling me a lunatic and all of these things. When I saw that he was doing that on the biggest podcast or even media platform in the history of humanity, I was like, holy crap, this guy's like a scumbag. Like, dude, what the hell are you saying about me? Like, you're, and I have no opportunity to defend myself other than just making some video and posting it to the ass end of the internet, where nobody will basically see it in the grand scheme of things.
And he'll never see it. He'll never have to address it. You know, it's
exactly.
It reached millions of people.
The funny thing is, though, that the views that he's making fun of, I don't even think he would deny those views if they were put in front of his face and fully articulated to him.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. That's the thing, man. It's so hard to debate you, and that's why, you know, he wouldn't probably have you on to do it, because it's gonna be very hard to come back from that. Sort of like what James Wilkes did. He destroyed anti-vegan arguments about health for 3 hours straight, and at the end, what was Joe gonna say? He's like, "Clap, clap." James killed it.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that a vegan diet is perfectly healthy now, and yeah, Chris Kresser has never been back on the show or anywhere that I know of since, and good, because he shouldn't have been, because he got completely discredited by facts and logic. And if he had someone really going into the ethics in the same way for 3 hours, good luck at the end of that thinking you have some sort of argument to continue abusing animals.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah, so anyway, but we've got a clip here where they started talking about us, and we'll just respond to it. And yeah, that's what we're going to do right now. But before we actually do that, there is just this funny clip, like 1 minute before he starts talking shit about our debate. And I just thought it was hilarious. So let's watch it together.
All right.
You want to watch like this or like this? No, let's be on top. All right, so here we go.
Get you. So that's...
Hang on, let me turn this shit up. Boom.
That's a little different than a meme. I mean, it's kind of a meme, but it really is. I mean, that kind of falls under misinformation. I don't think the guy should go to jail for it, but you probably shouldn't be allowed to
maybe lose your account or something like that. I mean,
yeah,
because I've been, I got banned. Remember, I got banned from Twitter for like a year. Just
and for what?
I don't know. I mean, it was. They said there was like a copyrighted music, like music playing in the background of one of my videos, and we're going to ban me for life. And I was like, ban me for life? What did I? It's like there's people out here putting, promoting murder and death, and they're on there, and I'm like,
the Taliban's on there,
right? Exactly.
Yeah. There's people. He got banned from Twitter, and he's complaining. He's like, I'm not doing anything. There's people on there promoting death and murder. Bro, what are you?
Yeah.
What are you? Are you that detached, bro? That is what you do every single post. You do it more than anybody I know, and you're against anybody who stands against the murder you're talking about. And you talk shit about them all the time. This guy's a fucking clown. So, yeah I thought...
there's a profound lack of self-awareness and an irony to what he's saying, for sure.
Or he just is like laughing on the inside, dude. You know? I don't know. Because, you know, he's a fucking doctor. He's not the world's biggest idiot. That's why I said at the start of the debate, I just want to know if you are a con artist bullshitting everyone for their money, or you just genuinely believe this shit. I am confused. That's what I want to find out today. You know, and I left so confused. Like, I have no idea. I don't know. I change every day.
Well, Shawn Baker is like, he's a weird kind of person, because like sometimes he does like these really kind of like intimate videos, like in his car where he's just talking to the camera. And every once in a while, like in those videos, he'll say something reasonable. Like he'll actually say something reasonable. But like on Twitter, nothing he says is reasonable. Like everything is just like crazy and unhinged.
Yeah.
So I do think that there is like kind of like a persona going on in the online space. Like I do think he's kind of like one of those fake kind of characters. That's just an intuition though. I don't know what goes on in his personal life, but there is like a stark difference between his video content and his Twitter content. Yeah,
interesting. Man, you know, he's making a lot of money on the carnivore diet, but there's also so much evidence to get it against it, and he knows and admits that there's no long-term evidence for it. So, like, where is not the scam there? I just spelled it out for you. I'm going to sell it anyway, even though I don't know if it's healthy. Fuck it. Here you go. Here's a book. How to eat just meat. Boom. Here's 100 pages on eat only meat. Like, I don't know, man. It's a definite, you know, he definitely is making mad coin off it.
Probably,
so,
yeah.
Gotta be rolling in the dough.
Well, I mean, did you hear about the GoFundMe? His GoFundMe, I can't.
About it, yeah.
I can't remember. I think it made like
$250,000.
Yeah, it was like $200,000 or something like that to like fund clinical trials. And to the best of my knowledge, they are doing like one trial, but that single trial probably, like, I'd be shocked if it costs more than like $5,000 to do that trial.
Really?
So I don't know where the fuck the rest of that money went.
Maybe they got more plans to do more or something. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. Like I'll believe it when I see it. See it.
It'll be a telling story if that's all that's done from it. So that'll be interesting. All right, man. Anyway, it's not like I'm promoting murder. Okay. What did you call him? Lion what?
Oh, a lion LARPer. Yeah.
A lion LARPer. Tell people what that is, bro, if they don't know.
So like a LARPer is somebody who does like live action role play. So like they're like adults who play pretend and shit. Yeah, so exactly. I called Shawn a lion LARPer because he like LARPs as a lion. He thinks he's like a lion or something like that, or he pretends to be. I think for the longest time he had a picture of a lion in his fucking Twitter banner too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, loves the lion vibes, the murder vibes. All right, moving on. So now they're gonna start talking.
It's crazy. Not that. It was that you were promoting this alt-right lifestyle of eating meat only.
Well, and exercise.
And exercise. It's very problematic, Shawn.
It is.
We can't have people eating meat and being healthy and working out. That's fucked up. I don't know why.
It is fucked up, you idiots.
You did, and I hope you've changed your ways.
Well, I'm working on that. So, like I said, we talked about that debate with the wacko vegan.
Oh, my God. That was my favorite one you've ever done.
So, first of all, that's pretty cool. It was his favorite one. He probably watched it very intently, you know, something a bit different than
with a wacko vegan. With a wacko vegan.
Well, this is just one wacko vegan.
Well, you know he's talking about me, right? Because,
yeah, of course.
Like, during one little part of the debate that was like a tangent of a tangent, I said something that was just like in passing, right? Because he asked me a question, I just entertained the question really quickly, and I want to get back on track.
Yeah.
And they clipped it as though that was like actually germane to the debate, and it really wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. They made it about that because that was something they could spend a whole bunch of time wasting on, and that's the impression I got from the beginning. You know, we agreed to go onto his podcast. Fine, whatever it took to get a debate. I've been trying to get them on a debate for 6 months at that point. I ended up having to do a rap song calling them out, which is the only thing that got their attention enough to be like, oh, there's a rap song about me, and I guess I won't ignore it. So yeah, come onto my thing. Okay, yeah, but not with Dr. Avi though. And fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say, bro. It was what was I talking about? Oh, I thought from the beginning. So we kind of didn't really know. Like, we didn't know we were going to be on there for an hour, for one thing. And anyway, we get on. There's all these people there of his crew. And he just interviews us, basically. That's how I thought it was. It was just an interview, you know. What I was hoping we would do is, like, go back and forth of what we think is the best evidence we've got that supports our diet choices. Just, you know, and go from there. Talk about some ethics and this and that. But I felt like he just wasted so much time. So what do you think veganism is? And no. I'm like, shut the fuck up, bro. Like, we don't want to abuse animals, basically. You get the picture. You know what it is. Let's move on to the shit of why are you telling everybody to just eat meat every day? You know, where you get that from? And what about all the slaughter? You ever consider the victims of this lifestyle that you've chosen? So that's where I thought it was going. But he just, like, interviewed us the whole time, waste time. And then when this came up with you, he was like... you know, just blah, blah, blah about it probably for as long as he could. There's like, anyway, now that we're getting somewhere with this conversation, got to go see you guys.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
so,
I kind of felt that way too. I mean, I could have pressed him on the empirics a little bit more, pressed him on some of his empirical claims and brought like data to the table. But I felt like addressing like the ethical thing was probably like I'll admit I was too lazy. I was like, okay, the ethical thing is just going to make him put his foot in his mouth, so let's just go there and just make him look like a clown, honestly.
Well, originally that's not what I wanted to do with the debate. That's why I wanted Dr. Arby. I really wanted him to just destroy his pro carnivore diet for health arguments. That was what I was looking forward to. But then when you sort of put it to me, like, let's name the trait and, point out his inconsistencies in his logic and, that it doesn't make sense. And it's basically like racism, that he's got this like wrong think in his head. I thought, well, yeah, a lot of people are going to debate this guy on health over the however long, and Garth Davis did very recently after we did. So he's not often going to meet someone who's going to name the trait on him.
And I would be more than happy to have a follow-up where we address like some of his empirical claims.
Yeah,
I would be more than happy to do a follow-up with Shawn where like we just no ethical stuff, just address like the facts.
All right, I want to be there again too, though, because I'll find that really entertaining.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, sweet. So yeah, man. All right, let's keep rolling.
So I don't know when this took place, but I just discovered
it was recently. It was like 2 weeks ago.
I just discovered it a couple of days ago. But you are debating this guy, and you, by the way, you played this brilliantly. Where you just had this like little smile on your face, and you let him talk. And this guy was saying that you've never met a vegan like me. Not only do I not think that you should eat meat, because you were talking about the animal kingdom. What about the animal kingdom? Like in the he was like, oh, I don't think the animal kingdom should exist.
Right.
I think we should replace it with human infrastructure. He was saying that he thinks that all animal predators and prey, that's all problematic, and we shouldn't have any of that. So he.
All right, bro. You want to go on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, the position is just that wild animal suffering should end. And it's just a principled position, right? It doesn't mean that, like, we just bulldoze nature regardless of the repercussions. It's a principled position, right? So, like, all things equal, is a world with that extra suffering in it better than a world without the extra suffering in it? And if the answer you give is yes, you just look like a crazy person. Like, it's just a principled in a vacuum position.
You're just saying just because suffering happens in the wild doesn't mean it's not horrific, and innocent beings are going through the most torturous experiences, and that is a bad thing. You're just saying this is bad.
I mean, it seems like a no-brainer. Like, is a world with more suffering preferable to a world with less suffering?
But I mean, but where he's lost is like, I don't remember how you worded it exactly, or maybe they show it in a second actually. But
yeah, I think they do.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just watch then. Let's just watch.
He's for eliminating all animal life.
Yeah. It's kind of bizarre. It's like, I was just like,
that's not true.
Well, no,
like,
you're not.
Just 1 second. That's not true. I'm not for eliminating all animal life. Like, that's not even close to anything that I said. I just said that wild animal suffering is like problematic, and wild animal procreation is problematic for reasons that like would be really obvious if you just ran NTT on somebody. It's like, okay, would you let a bunch of like mentally handicapped people just like have sex with each other and procreate regardless of the risks, right? Like, they're not aware of the risks, but they're going to do it anyways. Like, would you have a mind to separate them? Like, and if you did, what's the symmetry breaker with wild animals? Because they're doing the exact same thing. They're not aware of the risks. They can't give informed consent, and they're just like procreating endlessly. Like, what's the salient difference between them such that you'd separate the humans, but you wouldn't separate the animals, right? So it's just like an NTT sort of situation. Mm-hmm. So like it's a principled position. All things being equal, I think wild animal procreation is morally problematic, because in a likewise human scenario, we would also find that morally problematic. So like, what's the symmetry breaker?
Yeah. So, this is a like big topic in a way, because I think there's maybe a lot to think about. And this is a new topic in the vegan activist circles of the last, I'd say probably 2.5 years or something like that, where we've been discussing the wild and should we intervene with wild animal suffering. And, I think you guys make some really strong points, and, it's hard to argue against, but also there are some arguments that people are making, and I'm yet to fully make up my mind on it. You can give strong arguments against it. Like, you can give strong, like, pragmatic arguments against, like, doing it right now. What I mean by a principled position is like all things equal. Like, I think this is true, all things equal. But we live in the real world where things aren't equal, right? So if we like actually plowed over nature in the real world, there would be like knock-on effects that would probably be utility draining for human beings in the long run. Like, if we got rid of wild animals, it's like, okay, there goes everything that requires like bee pollination. Sure,
that's just gone.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Like, you're not suggesting people go out and kill any carnivores right now.
Not necessarily, no.
Or even separate. Even just not kill,
like not necessarily,
or
no.
sterilize. Now, these are all options of how maybe you could intervene in the wild to prevent suffering, death, and rights violations. But this is just like, as a basic idea of, should we intervene in the wild to prevent suffering if we can, without any negative impact that makes things worse than it already was. Should we intervene in that way? Probably. That's basically
and the funny thing is, like, my suggestion for like intervention is actually non-violent. Like, it's not a violent intervention at all. You don't have to kill a single thing, the way I propose that it be done.
Cool. Yeah. So there you go. It's not even about what they're saying. It's very much a straw man to say you want to eliminate all animals.
I mean, and I wouldn't even be against animals existing. In fact, I think more animals existing would be a good thing if they came into being via the right circumstances, and they were given like happy lives and taken care of, just like you would take care of like a person or a child or something like that. I actually am in favor of increasing the number of animals in the world. It's just there's a specific subset of animals that I think exist in a problematic capacity.
100%, and it's pretty obvious. Like, you look at Nature is Metal on Instagram, and it's absolutely brutal. And if you put yourself in the victim's situation, you would absolutely be begging for some intervention, not just ignoring. But yeah, it's a very complex topic. And this is where I think you messed up, bro. Because you brought up, first of all, something they never heard before. So they had no way of being like, oh yeah, I know what he's talking about. And it makes sense more this way. You said it, you probably didn't say it in like the most ideal way. And I thought it was just like, if you're going to mention this, there's no way we're not spending the next 10, 20 minutes on this. There's no way. We're there on it. So,
I guess I kind of brought the topic up in a kind of an edgy, kind of inflammatory way, because, I mean, I guess I was hoping that
back it up if you wanted to.
Yeah, I could, right? Like, and I was hoping that they were going to do like a little bit more probing into I wanted to get back on track. But if we were going to go there, I was hoping that they would like do a little bit more probing so that they could understand like, oh, this topic that he just brought up in this kind of like pithy kind of, inflammatory way it's actually perfectly reasonable once it's unpacked, you know?
Yeah, I mean, someone here saying, "Oh my God, is he serious? What's he want to do? Control the planet?" And the answer is,
I mean,
well,
ideally, yes.
yeah, like
Ideally.
it would be, I mean, if you were one of the victims, yeah, you'd probably want a little more control over the predators. You'd probably want them not hurting you. And ideally, they can just live in peace somewhere else or something, you know, and eat potentially vegan meat, like some sort of, you know, technology that is perfectly healthy for them in terms of like food technology, like a vegan meat substitute, or I don't know, just as an option. Yeah, go on.
In an ideal circumstance, like who wouldn't want to have moral dominion over the planet? I mean, assuming that we were all on the same page about what was moral, like in that scenario, why wouldn't we want to like just exert moral dominion over the planet and just mold the planet into what we thought was right?
Yeah, exactly.
Why wouldn't we want to do that?
We're already trying to do that. And ideally we would have succeeded and the planet would be moral. You know, like that's what laws are for. It just doesn't mean they're always moral, as we can see right now and in many other examples. So it's hard to get everyone to agree together. But, you know, ideally, yeah, that would be what we'd be doing, because there's also a lot of really bad people out there who do really bad things and cause a huge amount of suffering. So look, like the idea, someone's saying the idea is pure stupidity. The idea is just, as we do with humans, protect victims from predators. We would ideally protect victims from predators. In ways that are not gonna, you know, ruin the fucking world. Like in ways that that make sense, and that ideally
it's just
everyone's happier and not getting murdered anymore. So I think, look, there's something there to consider and talk about. There's a lot of conversation to be had about it. But also on the other hand, and I'm glad it's happening, because I think some people will be motivated to do something about wild animal suffering, and that will probably prevent a whole lot of suffering. So I'm really glad the conversation is happening. But on the other hand, and it's happening a lot, I think, because people are hearing it for the first time and they're figuring out what they think about it, and it sounds a little crazy. So, you know, people are also just talking about it because of it's shocking. But, you know, I think that what I'm trying to say is, cool, that's a thing. That's like a new thing to consider as a vegan. If we're morally extending rights, human rights to animals, then we should be morally extending human rights to animals, and this would be just another extension of that. It's just like this extension too. Wild animals suffering. What do we do? That's basically what's happened in the last few years. You know, at least I didn't think about it before. I know a lot of other people hadn't given this topic much thought before. So it's fascinating. It's fascinating. But like, no one's going out doing anything crazy right now. Relax.
There's a kicker to it as well.
Yeah.
There's a kicker to it as well. If the world goes vegan, right? Factory farming and animal agriculture is a blip in human like existence, right? But if we say the whole world goes vegan with respect to like their dietary choices and food agriculture and stuff like that, but we do nothing to address wild animal suffering and it continues in perpetuity, that suffering is going to massively outweigh the suffering that was caused by agriculture. If it already, I mean, it probably already has outweighed the suffering caused by agriculture.
Yeah, someone's saying like, what are you going to do with all the fish that eat other fish? We don't know the solutions here. We're just saying, ideally, wild suffering would end. You know, like it would be good if that could happen. We don't know how. I don't know what to do about this fish or that fish. But let's just, maybe some people know about somewhere where something could be done, where it would work out well. Cool, do it. Wild animal suffering also matters. And
right, it's just something that's said in principle. Like in principle,
you said it in the debate, and Joe Rogan watched it, and he thought you were a nutcase. And here's the other reason why I'm glad that you said it, bro. Because we're on Joe Rogan now, dude. He's talking about veganism again. Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird angle, but it gets the conversation on the table. Another time, somebody's going to bring that up, and they'll be able to, like, if Joe ever brings it up to a vegan that can respond and say, we're just saying wild animal suffering is bad, and if we can, it would be good to intervene. You know, where it's good to intervene, we should intervene. It'll be good if, like, he might bring that up again because he thinks, oh, this is a ridiculous and easy gotcha against vegans, and someone else might be like, actually, dude, this is all we're saying. We're not saying eradicate every animal. Of course not. Vegans are the last person saying shit like that. Yeah. It got us on Joe Rogan, bro, and that's a milestone in itself, and maybe he'll invite you on there one day, or maybe he'll invite me on there one day, and we can all laugh about it. And who knows, bro? Life is long. And he's going to run out of guests sooner or later. Already having people on 4 or 5 times. But all right, so let's keep rolling.
I have to say anything. It's not even a debate. All I got to do is just let you talk for like...
By the way, where does this motherfucker think fertilizer comes from? Where? How are you going to grow your vegetables? Like, what are you going to do?
He doesn't care about it.
You want to talk about that, bro?
Yeah, it's just irrelevant. Like, I mean, we have chemical fertilizers that don't require animals, and we have like ways to turn compost into fertilizer. So, I mean, like, I don't care. I didn't say anything about that, and it's just completely irrelevant. Like, I don't care.
It's a non-issue. You have a vegan world. And
yeah. It just doesn't interact with what it doesn't interact with anything that I said.
It doesn't, but like, just while he's bringing it up, saying some dumb shit, you want to school him on it, kind of thing. Like, basically, you're saying,
you don't even need animals to fertilize crops.
Wicked.
You just don't even need animals to fertilize crops. I don't know what he's talking about. Cool. It's just silly.
Says a lot of shit that doesn't actually make sense. So let's listen.
That he said basically, I don't care if you kill billions of creatures to grow avocados. It doesn't matter to me. That's fine. Even if they were, he said, he went as far as saying, even if they were humans you were slaughtering to produce crops that I ate, that's fine. But if you feed it for a cow and then kill the cow, that's a rights violation. That's a problem. I'm like,
no, exactly. That's not even close. It's not even close to what I said.
I thought that was a pretty close to what he was saying. Like, I'll say what I think he said there. He's like, if you are directly killing animals or killing, actually, no, he didn't. He said, if you're feeding crops to cows, that part of it is wrong. No?
So,
actually, I don't know. You tell me, bro.
So, yeah, like I would say that if like the end goal is like slitting the cow's throat and hanging it up by its fucking hooves and killing it. But like, okay, so we have like a section of land. It could be cropland. It could be wildland. We don't know whether or not one leads to more death versus the other. So we also own this land and we wish to protect it in order to maintain our way of life. I think what I was saying in the debate was, I think even in a scenario where you had fully realized human beings accosting our crops the way animals do and try to like eat them when we are the ones who want to eat them, I think we would be okay defending our crops with lethal force, even against humans.
Yeah, and he agreed with that when he used the analogy of war. He's like, yeah,
and he agreed with it, right? Yeah. We would want to defend our property that's being accosted by an outside force, even if they were fully realized human beings. You didn't even need to trait adjust them to that of like an insect or anything like that. Fully realized human beings are accosting our crops and trying to eat them. Yeah, it's like we would defend them,
even if they're not.
We would defend them if it was like,
we would.
If it was a civilization threatening event, yes, clearly we would destroy them. Now, he made the statement like that, I don't care if like billions and billions of animals die for the crops. That's not true. Obviously, there's going to be some threshold after which I'd be like, okay, we shouldn't grow those crops anymore. Like if this much animal suffering is being caused by the crops and we can empirically demonstrate that, I'd be like, yeah, we need to figure out a different way to grow like vegan food because like this is unacceptable. Clearly, there's a threshold after which I would not sign off on crop agriculture, right? It's just that I'm fuzzy on the empirics on the matter, and I think everybody's fuzzy on the empirics on the matter because there aren't really that many studies that we can point to that show like just how many animals are dying versus like a wildland scenario versus like a cropland scenario. We don't know. But if it was ever empirically demonstrated that the utility drain of cropland was just like so massive that the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, I wouldn't sign off on it. So it's not like I'm completely kind of apathetic to the animals that are potentially dying on this land. I just need to see data in order for me to shift my doxastic attitude one way or the other.
Right. So he's saying like, you're fine with crop deaths, which no, we're not. We accept that they happen, but we're not like, yay, crop deaths. We think it's bad, and ideally there wouldn't be crop deaths, in an ideal world. There'd also be no human deaths with the transportation and with injuries doing the farming job and things like that. But yeah, what you're saying is there is not data to show that there's so many more animals dying on crops versus the same amount of land if it was left wild. Very possibly creating a crop or something is better than what was happening there on the wild before. So seeing how we do not know, we don't have that data right now. Flip a coin, you'd be guessing, you don't know. Well, then let's look at what brings more utility, leaving it wild or creating our food source so that we can survive as a society and feed people. Obviously that.
Yeah, I have a leaning toward the food source.
I mean, it's kind of important.
Because I think sustaining human life is actually extremely important, because if there's any species on the planet that even has a hope in hell of veganizing this place, it would be humans. So they're worth sustaining in my view.
Yeah. And like that might sound crazy to some people. Oh, you want to veganize the whole planet? Yeah, just like you probably don't want any children to be raped. You know, we don't want any animals to be abused, tortured, raped, and murdered either, because they're also sentient beings, you know, just like humans, just like children. They have a heart and a brain. So it's not crazy at all to just want everyone to stop being extremely cruel to innocent beings. Yeah, we want to veganize the world. Like, why don't you want to veganize the world? Who do you think deserves the knife to the throat? Which innocent being, and why? It makes no sense. Everybody should want that. All right, let's roll.
And then he said he won the debate because I said, I probably wouldn't eat a Homo erectus. You know, like he said, well, if we could bring back something as close to human Homo sapien, but not exactly, you're trying to get me to say it's okay to eat humans, but that's the only.
That's how he won the debate.
That's what.
So he doesn't understand what I was asking. Like this conversation actually might be worth repeating with him, because if that's what he gathered, I don't think he's understanding what I was asking. So I asked him, like, what's true of non-human animals or what's true of non-human animals that's untrue of humans, that if made true of humans would cause humans to lose sufficient moral value such that we would be justified doing to humans what we currently do to animals, like killing them and eating them for food. That's the question that I asked, and he said being human. I was like, okay, well, what if there was a being that was in every way like a human, but just like pushed outside the distribution of genetics such that they weren't human?
Yeah,
right?
You wouldn't even know if you spoke to them. Like, they're every human, but genetically they actually don't fall under the code of human.
Exactly, because he used a genetic definition of human. So with that definition, all I have to do is just push something outside that distribution, and boom, it's ethical to eat. So he brought up the example of Homo erectus. I probably shouldn't have let him get away with that. I probably should have said something like, no, like, just like in every way they're like a human except for a cluster of genetics that pushes them outside of that distribution. And would it be okay to eat them? Like, say it was your neighbor's kid and we ran a genetic test on them and we found out, oh, they're not actually human. Like, would it be okay to just like take your neighbor's kid, slit their throat, and hang them upside down? Yeah. I don't think he would sign off on that, even if I did clarify and get things very, very precise. Even if I did get there, I don't think he would sign off on it. So, like, I do think that to the extent that maybe some people could argue that I didn't extract like a genuine contradiction out of him, I'm like 99.99% certain that we would have gotten to contradiction land anyway.
Of course, he's not gonna, you know, even like another analogy is a more superior alien being who's smarter than us and more this and more that. They're better than us. You know, we would look up to them. We would idolize them. Would, just because they're not human, make it, and they feel pain 10 times more than us, you know, and suffer 10 times more than us. Would it be okay to just go and cut their throat open with a 12-inch knife because you think they might taste nice? Of course.
On the moral view that he unpacked, the answer would be yes. And if he answered no, it would be a contradiction.
Right. And here's the thing, like, okay, the other answer's either yes or no. You can say, yeah, I do it. I only care about humans. Who cares about aliens? They're not humans. Cool. Well, you're a psychopath, bro. Like, you
yeah,
have
exactly.
mental problems. You need to be locked up and kept away from other beings, especially animals right now.
That's the beautiful thing about NTT, is that if you run it on somebody who's not a vegan and they are as like crazy or dishonest as Shawn Baker, you only get to one of two places. You get to something that sounds crazy, or you get to a contradiction.
Yeah.
Now, there is a third option, but then NTT no longer applies to the person if the third option obtains, is they become veganized, like you veganize them. Okay, well then NTT no longer applies to this person. So there's only two horns you can take. The first horn is a contradiction. The second horn is saying something completely batshit crazy.
And to just elaborate on the contradiction again, what it is you are against murder, except when there's a being very similar to the beings you are against murdering, when there's someone just slightly different? Maybe they have 4 legs instead of 2. Maybe
yeah, like formally, the contradiction would be like, it is and is not the case that it is morally acceptable to eat a being that falls outside of the distribution of Homo sapiens sapiens. That's the contradiction on the table.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess just
formally, that's the contradiction.
Yeah. Thank you. In a broader sense, though, like what the point we're making here is, you are against murder, right? Right. Okay, so it's like saying, yeah, I'm against murder, but only against murdering white people, and trying to make that make sense. It doesn't make sense, bro. Like, if you're against murder and these beings are totally all else equal except for their skin color, you shouldn't murder them either. And when it comes to animals,
yeah.
Am I wrong here? Like, am I saying this a little
I mean,
bit
it
wrong
would
in your
certainly
eyes?
sound insane. It would certainly sound insane. It's
Yeah,
not technically
it
a contradiction, but it would certainly sound insane to say something like that.
Well, that's what I guess, okay, it's not technically a contradiction. Yeah, or it is a contradiction, because he's like, no, I wouldn't do it because human beings, why? Like, you have to go through so much shit to get to the bottom line of why. Oh, because human beings feel pain and suffer. Like, really, that's what it is. Human beings, I can relate to them, and the problem is I wouldn't want that done to me. Pain and suffering is very, very bad, so I wouldn't want it done, like, it shouldn't do it to other humans. Yeah, that's what it is. It's like the golden rule. That's why we shouldn't do it. I'm sure most people would agree that the core of it is, there's other reasons, like just we personally don't want to live in a society for our own safety where something like that is normalized or legal. Sure, there's other reasons, but like, I mean, I don't know. I think any reasonable person would say, I shouldn't murder because this person doesn't want to experience murder, and you only need a little bit of empathy to agree with that and not do it, even if there wasn't, punishments for it, which I'm glad there is.
And you just need you just need a little bit more empathy to just extend it to animals.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, so
Yeah.
that it's wrong to murder humans, but not wrong to murder other mammals, because why? And that's where
we get back to NTT.
Yeah, that's where it gets super stupid. So, yeah, man, I don't know. That's that. Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Right,
So if you say, I don't think you should eat orangutans,
right.
then he won.
Then he won. That was the whole thing. It was just like it was just bizarre.
They don't
It was
understand.
funny. I mean, it was hilarious. But
Well, he's in a cult. Whether he realizes it or not, he's in a cult, and this cult is not. It's
This
not
is
based
really
on any
ironic.
objective.
This is really ironic because he's like a carnivore, right? And he's saying that like I'm in a cult, even though it's just like a group of people who take like sort of a vague moral stance on something. And veganism is quite vague. So you have like a group of people who take like a vague moral stance on something, and there's a lot of disagreement internally between these people. That does not sound like a cult. But then you have like the carnivores who like believe something is true, even though like most of the empirics on the matter like point in the opposite direction. And they're like ideologically committed to these like false ideas, or like probably false ideas, and they like all think as one, and there isn't actually a lot of internal disagreement between them. That sounds closer to a cult than veganism. If just to be perfectly honest.
Like, I would love to know the percentage of them who have sent that Ted Nugent reel that is just him on Joe Rogan saying, if you want to kill the most amount of animals, just be vegan. And they're like, got it. Thank you, priest. And then they just share that like it's gospel. And it's like, dude, are you going to actually think about this? Or like you think this is, you're just going to take this random dude who's invested in this industry at face value that somehow vegans are responsible for way more killing than anybody else. That makes sense. Enough for you to send me this bullshit. Wow.
Yeah,
so stupid.
I'm just saying that like I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if the definition of cult better mapped onto the carnivore people than the vegan people.
Well, they're also the ones sacrificing innocent beings at their traditions and saying, thank you so much for dying for me, yay, singing Christmas carols and all this shit. All right, let's keep going.
Assessment of the reality of biological life on Earth. It's just not. It's like to say that you think all animal life should die. Are you including
No one said that.
insects?
I didn't say that.
Because if you include insects,
No, we're not including insects or anyone else.
then you're including bees. Then there's no pollination.
Yeah.
Like, what are you saying?
blah, 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 not talking about anything reasonable that we said in this debate that apparently he loves so much.
Like
just
I said,
like talking shit about one part, getting distracted on something that wasn't even the debate.
Yeah, like I said, it's a principled position. He's making a pragmatic counter argument that I would actually sign off on, right? Like I would sign off on, yeah, it's probably not a good idea to get rid of bees because we require them for pollination under the current schema of like agriculture. But that doesn't change the fact that in principle, wild animal suffering should end.
Yeah. I mean, makes
like the
sense
two
to
are
me.
not in contradiction with one another. I can
would
hold both
prefer
views
it
at the
to
same
end.
time.
Yeah, I
would prefer if wild animal suffering ended, but
and connected for some reason.
James?
I don't know. Yeah, can you hear me or no? Yo.
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
OBS,
Sweet.
bro.
Did the stream die?
It did. I don't know if the stream died. Nah, I think it was just OBS. Or does that mean the stream died? It's
I don't know. Is it still going?
It's still going. It's still going.
Okay. And then let's just keep on. Let's just keep on going. I'll check the stream on my end to see like if it botched.
I just got another comment, so I think it's still going. Okay, we'll G.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
All right, sweet. Sorry about that. What were we talking about?
I think we were about to just like keep it rolling.
All right.
Well, I mean, our species, if there are no animals, we would all be dead too. I mean, everything would be gone. So it's like, it's almost like, well, you don't really seem like you fit too well on this planet, dude.
Well, I think that's a deeply unhappy person that's probably very depressed.
Are you deeply unhappy, Nick? Deeply.
No. I'm actually like usually a pretty jovial, kind of chipper guy. I'm not depressed.
Are you sure? Because
have,
Joe Rogan
anxiety.
said you're deeply depressed. So just check in, bro. Are you sure?
I mean, I have been during periods of time in my life. Not right now, though.
Oh, I'm glad to hear, man. And I'm sure Joe will be glad to hear as well that he was totally wrong.
And also a contrarian to the point of complete illogical thinking. Like,
look at him.
See, like,
up.
when people use language like that against like anything that I've said, I always press really hard. Okay, by illogical, like, what do you mean? Is there some kind of like error in some kind of inference structure? Is there, a fallacy? Like, what do you mean by illogical, right? And usually it just bottoms out into like, oh, I just disagree, right? It bottoms out into something like profoundly trivial.
Yeah, I think it's just so funny to see Joe like looking up and, thinking, this is what it is. And it's just like, bro, you are doing the worst maths ever in that big head of yours right now.
The idea that you would think that all predator and prey animals that exist on Earth, including Africa, in the wild, like areas where there are no human beings ever, and these animals all coexisted in this very balanced food chain where you have predators and prey, and the predators keep the prey animals in check, and that there's this like balance in terms of population. The fact
it's just a buzzword salad.
Yeah.
Like keeping in check, balance, harmony. It's a buzzword salad. Like who the fuck cares about any of this?
100%. He thinks this is like homeostasis, perfect, peaceful harmony. This is as good as it gets. Aim higher, bro. Maybe
aim higher.
Like, it can be better, surely.
You think that human beings should somehow or another stop that and replace it with human infrastructure?
And it acts like that's so crazy too. It's like, well, we're just saying, not always replace it with human infrastructure. Although human infrastructure could just potentially be like a large gated, controlled, otherwise natural environment, where things have been controlled to be better in that area. Or if a wild land is full of like, let's say there's just, one animal is ruthlessly torturing constantly. It'd probably be better to put a car park there or anything really. If it will stop all that shit. Yeah, put a skate park.
Yeah, I find it kind of ironic that he's against like replacing nature with human infrastructure when that's exactly how we get pasture land. Like pasture land is a type of human infrastructure.
Exactly.
So people don't typically like appreciate this, but pasture land is actually like incredibly artificial usually. So what they do is they like clear cut whatever nature is there, and the species of grass that are there are not necessarily species of grass that like cows will eat. So what you have to do is like oftentimes you have to just like torch the entire place and like do like a grass burn, and then you start from square one. You carpet bomb with like crop dusters, like grass seeds. You bring in irrigation hoses, and then you get it situated with this one species of grass that the cows will eat. And that seems like a highly contrived circumstance compared to nature, right? So like even the pasture that he is likely in favor of using to like raise the meat that he eats counts as infrastructure like human infrastructure replacing nature. So I just find it like kind of ironic that he would be even against that position, given like the things that he supports.
Yes.
That's basically what he's saying, right?
Yeah. Pave it all over the parking lot and grow food in a factory. And
see if you can find that guy. It's hilarious.
Well, wait a second.
All right, you better get so famous. Go, Nick.
So he said, like, replace it with a parking lot and grow our food in a factory. I think that's a better scenario at the end of the day, is like you have human infrastructure like displacing wild animal suffering. And then instead of having cropland where wild animal suffering could continue, we grow our food in a factory, like use like precision fermentation or cell cultures, grow our food in a factory under sterile conditions, like foodborne illness becomes a thing of the past, and we don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. And they think that this this conceptualization of a potential future is like bonkers, because they have this romantic kind of commitment to like the beauty of nature or something like this. And I just find it like really, really silly and childish.
It is. And yeah, he's like, I mean, he's that to a T. Joe is that to a T. He loves it. Puts on his camouflage, gets his expensive, shiny, sleek bow and arrow, goes out there with the boys, probably has a few beers, whatever he does. You know, aims, thinks, oh yeah. Like that whole thrill
I'm one with nature again.
I'm one with nature.
Just like my ancestors.
Whoa, I feel so like connected to our ancestors right now. All this bullshit. Kill the animal brutally, shoot it through the heart. You know, whoever it is, like, doesn't matter if it's a mother or anybody, like someone who didn't want to get shot through the heart that day. Go over there, do a little fucking prayer or some bullshit. Thank you, God, for this feast. You know, whatever he does, I don't know. All that culture.
Yeah,
shit that goes
the one with
there.
nature shit is pretty cringe. Like, I think humans can do better.
Yeah. We are doing better already, some of us.
Because I don't think he understands, like, plants literally survive.
This shit is crazy.
I forgot this part.
Biological material that is being broken down by the natural process and converted into fertilizer. It's literally, there's this symbiotic relationship. They breathe in carbon dioxide.
It's a continuation of the buzzword salad. Basically.
And breathe out oxygen. We breathe in oxygen. We breathe out carbon dioxide. The more carbon dioxide, which is a real problem with the whole climate crisis things. The Earth's literally never been greener in observable history. Right now, with the higher levels of CO2 in the atmosphere, you literally have a greening of the Earth. The whole thing is...
Yeah, the whole thing is bullshit and your fault because you tell so many people to adopt this stupid diet, you idiot. I like you apart from this, Joe. Don't get me wrong, but you're so lost on this topic, it's crazy. So yeah, he's just talking shit about plants and like this symbiotic. What does it got to do with slaughtering animals? Nothing. Like, okay, plants, yeah, cool. They give us oxygen. And what are you talking about?
And likewise, it doesn't have anything to do with my position. He's just like kind of rambling a buzzword salad right now.
Yeah. Okay, he's just talking a little shit. Probably blazed some weed before.
Super complicated. And to try to boil it down into some very easy to follow way because it supports your ideology is what most people are doing.
Yeah, Jamie.
Most people are doing like us. It's from him.
You go to my Instagram, like a couple back, like there was
You'll
that
see
guy.
this dork.
I think it's like I take on the final vegan boss or something like that.
I loved that. I thought he actually titled it extremely well. That was probably the best part from Shawn.
It's like, you know.
Did you put
I think there are vegan debaters who are better than me, but I've had very high level vegan debaters sign off on me being one of the strongest people out there.
I chose you for a reason, bro. You know, it wasn't like, oh, who's my second choice going to be? I was like, well, I know about 10 guys who probably do a really, really good job here. And you know, I spoke to you. I spoke to Nagra, who I think is also an excellent vegan debater, especially specifically for what I was planning to make the debate on.
Yeah, about the empirics. Yeah,
you know, as I said, I after loving Ask Yourself's content and learning so much from it and admiring it so much for so long, and then seeing you, who was also like talking similar language and you know, not letting people get away with bullshit through like just understanding the etiquette of debate and things like that. I could see straight away, man, you were up there, like right up there with the top. So final vegan boss, yeah, man, you know, pretty much like whatever. You know, if they really let you discuss all of this, they would have no idea how to respond. They would be
honestly
so lost.
I think the vegan final boss is your first choice. I think Avi was the perfect choice because there is nobody higher level than him that I'm aware of.
Me either, dude. You know, respect to that guy and protect that guy at all costs. You know, he ticks so many boxes in regards to this. Like, he nails the ethics, he nails the etiquette of debate, he nails the health stuff. He's an absolute vegan beast. He's well spoken and he would dominate on that show, and that's probably why he would never go on that show. And that's why Shawn didn't.
Dude's a national treasure.
That he is. He's a legend. That's why Shawn didn't want to debate him, and that's why nobody wants to debate him. That's the worst part. This is what Isaac Ask Yourself told me once. He's like, there's this thing about debating. You know, you make all this effort to get good, and the better you get, the less people that will debate you. So you're just good, and no one wants to fuck with you anymore.
Yeah, it's a real phenomenon. Like, I have very few people asking me to debate now because once you reach a certain level of proficiency or a certain level of skill with debate, people realize that, like, okay, this is like way too much for me, and they just kind of like run away.
100%. Cool, man.
Oil bottles behind him.
No, he did.
That was hilarious. He kind of missed
it.
He's like,
I forgot about the.
Was it you, Shawn, that put all those seed oil bottles behind him when I jumped on the
that was the second Zoom call.
It was so
that
funny.
Was the second Zoom call I did that on. I did that on another podcast where I had a bunch of seed oil bottles behind me.
It was so funny,
I'm just trying to get under his skin. Like,
yeah, exactly. Just like pick at him, you know, just kind of annoy him. But yeah, let's do justice.
It was his. Because he's a big promoter. And
he's like, that's hilarious. In his head, he's like, damn, that was funny and smart. And also, I'm pissed that wasn't you that did that because I thought it was.
So he thinks, you know, there's a whole argument about, you know, you should be drinking gallons of canola oil and it makes you healthy.
So he did this. Give me some volume and refresh this so I could hear what this guy says.
Go, you gangster.
It's really funny.
World into non-existence, right? Like, I think the natural world is actually morally problematic, and I advocate for its non-existence.
Go. I'm sorry.
I probably could have phrased that better, but
you could have phrased it better. To be honest, like, it wasn't phrased how you actually mean it. I think when you say it.
I mean, I do advocate for the non-existence of the wild world in its current form, like, but that's just another way of saying that I think wild animal suffering should end.
Yeah, I mean, look, like, yeah, I mean, it got a conversation started, dude, and, you know, as you flesh it out, you're in a fucking debate. Like, it's with this dude who's annoying as shit. He's quizzing us like, what about this? What do you think of this? And we're not really getting our opportunity. Then we're like, oh, we have like a few minutes left, basically. It's like a kind of stressful moment. So, you know, it's understandable to, like, maybe misspeak a little bit here and there, but...
And I find it's kind of weird that he chose this clip to showcase, like, the debate or the discussion, because this was like a tangent of a tangent. It didn't even have anything to do with the wider topics that we were talking about, but he decided to, like, clip this. You know, he didn't clip himself contradicting himself. He didn't clip himself like putting his foot in his mouth. Like, he clipped like the one thing that you could, the one thing that would be like super easy to take out of context, and that's what he clipped.
All he did. Took it out of context to try to shut down every argument you've got by making you look crazy.
Now, to be clear and to be fair, I didn't provide a context and he didn't ask for one, and there wasn't that much of a reason to render one because that wasn't even the topic of the discussion.
Which is why when you said it, I was like, whoa, man, you're not going to explain that shit? And then you half explain like, oh, well, whatever.
I've explained it a lot since then, and I think
that's
people
what I felt,
should
bro.
have
I'm like, who cares? Who cares if you didn't explain it then? there will be other opportunities to explain it after, and it'll help other people explain it more, and then it'll be debated in comment sections. And the bottom line is, this got on Joe Rogan because of that. And more people will think about this topic. It won't be the first time that people think about it now, so the shock value is a little bit gone, and people might be a bit more interested for the next step of, can you embellish on your thoughts on that a little more, please? Yeah, we can. We think wild animal suffering is far from ideal, and if we can replace it with anything more positive, that would probably be great.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that.
Yeah, so
that mean you advocate for getting rid of the natural world, and we live in a
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the natural world is filled with death and destruction, things I find morally problematic. So why wouldn't I?
What would you replace that with?
Human infrastructure.
Mad rapes.
Human infrastructure, and and you're saying we would do a better job as humans.
Yeah, I would even.
I don't know what he means by a better job. Like, does he take nature to be something that does jobs? Like, does he take nature to have like intentions? What does he mean by a better job?
God. You think like, God created nature like this by accident?
I just don't get what he means by like a better job. With respect to what goal? A better is like a normative term that's indexed to like a goal or something like that. So like a better job. Okay, with respect to what goal? Like I don't get it.
Yeah, you're probably not the only one.
The end goal should be to ditch this ball because it's a liability in and of itself.
Oh, you had to finish with some of that shit, didn't you? You couldn't just say eradicate animals like in his head. You had to be like, and fuck this earth off.
Well, like I can elaborate on that as well.
I've heard
like
you
the principle
on it. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
go ahead.
The principal position is that we should just favor less risky environments, right? Like why commit ourselves needlessly to a risky environment? So
Earth is extremely risky. Like just to like so people understand what you're talking about. There's natural disasters all the time here. We're flying around in space where comets have before and probably will again smash into our planet and cause all kinds of things. Like there's so many. Our atmosphere isn't even necessarily so powerful it can weaken, and we've weakened it ourselves apparently. And yeah, man, it's not the most controlled environment.
Yeah, like that's exactly right. Like the environment that we're currently living in a lot of ways is like unacceptably beyond our control in terms of how much destruction it causes. So like tens of thousands of people are killed, hundreds of thousands of people are injured or maimed, and millions of people are displaced or rendered homeless almost every year due to natural disasters. And if that's what if we find that acceptable, like that's just really weird, right? So in principle, we should be in an environment where we have more control over the things that are risky, right? We have more control over these things. Like imagine living in a world where there were no more volcanoes killing people, no more earthquakes toppling buildings, like no more tsunamis destroying entire communities, and like
hate.
Yeah, just like imagine a world where imagine a world where we could control the climate and there weren't like days that were suddenly like 40 degrees Celsius and a bunch of people die of like heat exhaustion.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or imagine a world where there's just no more fires.
It's a thought experiment. And it's like, what, you would prefer to just stay here because you have a sentimental attachment to Earth, or you would rather just live on perfect peace, controlled environmentville? I'd go there because it's safer and we don't have to stress about heaps more stuff.
And I do believe that we have the means to construct something like an O'Neill cylinder that we could live in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Like, people are just like, that's a far out crazy story. Idea, man. But, I mean, is it? Very possibly they could create something, maybe not now, or maybe in the future, where it would be sufficient enough for us to exist there and have what we need and be in a safe environment and overall lead to more happiness, positivity, less suffering. So like, yeah, just work with the thought experiment here. But it just, assuming the conditions were like this, that would be good, because this ball we're on is pretty dangerous, is a liability.
Yeah.
You said. Boom. Simple.
It's a liability. So yeah, just to reiterate, the principal position is we should favor less risky environments. And that's as simple as it gets. And anybody who disagrees with that is just nuts.
Yeah, they're just disagreeing with like this idea that came in their head of, what, are you just saying we should all go to like some sort of other planet? No, I mean, maybe if it was safer.
No, we'd have the same problems all over again on another planet.
Like assuming it was a perfectly good planet that was better than what we could build in some way. But yeah, it's not ridiculous to think we couldn't build something in the future. We build crazy shit all the time. Like, I don't know. It's just something possible.
Like if we found a habitable planet that was less risky than Earth, I think it'd be perfectly reasonable to migrate there.
For sure, if we could. Yeah, why wouldn't we? Obviously. All right, so...
All right, yeah, we can keep going.
A lot of people might find that problematic.
It's fine. People are free to think that I have a weird position.
I thought that was funny too. A lot of people might find that problematic, laughed Shawn. Yeah, bro, like a lot of people are really, really, really stupid. You know, you guys are showing some really great examples of that in your conversation. Just on that, Shawn, like, do you see where he's coming from there? I haven't given this. This is me, bro. This is my time to shine on Joe.
I can see his argument. I would disagree with that pretty.
I don't think, disagree that if you make human infrastructure over where there is usually a huge amount of suffering and death and rights violations, most likely this year.
So I guess if we're calling a rights violation a lion eating a zebra, would that fall into your definition of a rights violation?
On my definition, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
So who's the other guy?
Obviously, that is it. I'll tell you.
You want to talk about any of that, dude? No.
So the other guy, he's.
I mean, a rights violation, I still am like kind of working on a definition because it's difficult to come up with a definition for this. But like a rights violation at the end of the day is just like, it's like a right is like an entitlement that would be like ethically wrong to deny or something like that. And a rights violation would be like taking away that entitlement. So, a negative right would be like the right to not have your throat slit, for example.
Yeah.
So like slitting a throat would be violating that negative right. And that's the kind of concept that I'm approximating here. Like when I say rights violation.
Absolutely. A right is a protection of our interests. We have interests, and depending on how much the interest is important to us, depends on the value of our, of what it is that we're talking about. So if you are going to violate a small right of ours, like getting in our personal space, I don't know if you call that a right necessarily, but you have a desire, you have an interest in someone not being up in your grill, or even just like someone stealing $5 from you, that's, you're violating my rights there, bro. This is mine. I own this, and I have a right to it. So you're taking it from me. And yeah, then it gets to more serious rights violations, like enslaving somebody, slitting somebody's throat, etc.
Yeah.
Cool.
He's a vegan activist. His name's James Aspie, and he would used to be like a drug addict, and now he's vegan. And
he thinks I'm an ex-drug addict. Wrong.
He was like, he made
current
just like rap videos saying I was afraid of him and wouldn't.
Boom! I made a rap video. Did you hear that, Joe? Get me on the show, or I'm gonna make one about you too.
Bait him, and I was like, okay, whatever. So he wanted a partner to debate with me, and I said, I don't know, bring somebody on. And this is the other.
I don't know, bring somebody on. How about Dr. Avi? Oh, no, not that guy. Do you have somebody else? No, I really like Dr. Avi.
He glosses over the part where like Avi was supposed to do it, but Shawn bitched out of it.
Totally. Just like, and then he brought this guy on talking about, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I fucking tried to get Avi on, you pussy. You didn't want to talk to
somebody
him.
who's much higher level than me, right?
I mean, it makes sense to get the best on. If this guy's got all these claims he's making against vegans and for carnivore diet, and saying he has no moral, no more interest in animal ethics or treating animals, respectfully, then yeah, okay. So that's some pretty huge claims there that, if you believe them, lead to huge amounts of suffering and death. So I take that very seriously. It's very important. And I want to get the absolute best person I know on the job to publicly discredit your ridiculous, violent views. And, I got like second best, basically, fine. But but the point is, why didn't you want to debate Avi, mate? Why not? I don't like Avi. Like, no one cares if you like him. No one asked if you like him. We're not asking you to come on stream and be friends together. We're asking to debate all this shit that you keep talking about, and now you're scared to do it.
He picked as his backup, and I'm like, he's probably regretting he brought this guy.
Two things. One, I brought up backup. Like, it's extremely important to me, and I care more about getting the right vegan message out there than I do me getting to beat and say I beat Shawn Baker. I don't care at all about that. I care about. I have created an opportunity.
So sorry, like I find it like kind of interesting that he said that I was the backup, but he didn't explain why. Like he didn't explain that like he bitched out of like debating Avi.
I think he means backup for me, you know?
Oh, backup for you?
Yeah,
oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Either way, it's interesting that he doesn't bring that point up. That like Avi was supposed to be the one debating him.
It's only interesting. It's not even. It's just like, of course he wouldn't, because if he knows that he was being a bitch and that he would get destroyed in a debate with him, or prove us wrong, Shawn, and debate Avi, and we can all get a huge bowl of popcorn and watch something extremely entertaining happen. So prove us wrong if you want.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing was he thinks how could I regret bringing you on, bro? We're on Joe Rogan here talking about vegan ethics again. You know, that I'm happy about that. Keep talking it, keep getting the discussion on the table. And then under this video that he did, there'll be 1,000 people debating animal rights. Good. Like that's what needs to happen. We need to be having the conversation. And if something a bit random got it on Joe Rogan, mad. And you know, now you've seen us. Maybe you'll have us on the show one day. Who knows? But you know, it's a success in my book. And just because there was one like sort of tangent on the debate, overall the debate, despite it being very short, was still very good. And we got him to concede on points, and we got him to accept that he is a moral hypocrite. So what else do we want to do in such a short debate? Pretty good, if you ask me. So no, I think we did it all. I'm really grateful you came on, bro. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I know now because he's like such a wacko. But
well, the guy that you're the other guy, not the final vegan boss, but the other guy is like, don't you see his point? Like,
exactly.
Right.
I'm like, right, that made logical sense, right? Shawn, come on, work with me here. I agree, but I don't agree. Oh, okay, you're a dumbass.
It's violations.
Yeah, exactly.
Rights violations. So
rights violations. Yes.
A mountain lion eating a mule deer.
Like just listening to these two talk, you can tell that neither one of them have actually had like a rigorous philosophical discussion in their entire lives. Like in their entire lives, they have no idea how to interact with it.
I mean, he's talked to two vegans. Like he hasn't talked. That's why I wanted, you know, someone like you or Avi or someone who can kind of go deep into the ethics of it too, because they're so surface level about it. And, yeah, it just really shows like rights violations. Yeah, bro, that's a common thing to consider when we're talking about ethics, like rights violations. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that's funny, you know?
Is a rights violation?
Well, then I asked him because then I go on to ask him. I said, well, what about the lion that needs to eat? Doesn't he have any rights? He goes, oh, I don't care about them.
That never happened, by the way.
I don't think that ever actually happened. I don't think
either. I think he's just
I don't think he's either misremembering or he's just making stuff up, because I don't think I said that. I would grant that the lion has rights, but there are like superseding rights that would lead me to say that the lion probably, like, the lion has rights, but there are superseding moral considerations that override those rights. You know, say, and we'll paint a similar picture for like a human. Like, say there's like an axe murderer running toward a mother and their children. Like, the axe murderer has like rights, but you'd still like shoot him in the head to stop him from chopping these two people to pieces. Yeah, right?
Sorry, man.
Yeah. There's like a superseding moral consideration that makes it permissible to override their rights. Mm-hmm. I just extend the same thing to wild animal suffering. So if I see a lion running toward a gazelle, I think I'm perfectly justified just shooting the lion in the head to spare the life of the gazelle, in the same way that I think I would be perfectly justified shooting like an axe murderer in the head to save like a mother and her child. I don't think that's weird.
No. Makes sense to me. Just like it's perfectly reasonable to, if a bear is attacking you, kill the bear. You know, I'm not going down just because the bear's hungry. Like, and
it doesn't mean that the bear doesn't have rights.
No, the bear doesn't mean that the bear doesn't have rights. In a way, like just like what you said there, Shawn. But we also have a right to protect the innocent. You know, protect the vulnerable, and that innocent being has the right to live and not be ripped into shreds. So yeah, we all have rights in different ways.
But
which one's more important in this situation?
The point is, I never said that. Is the point? Yeah, like exactly, I never said that. Like that I don't care about lions or anything like that. I never said that.
No, it didn't happen. So he's just like, I don't know, kind of talking shit here, but whatever.
I'm like, what the
God. So let's eat them. Let's eat the lions. Let's only eat predators.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, it would be better than you guys eating cows probably, but like, no one's advocating you do that instead. We prefer you guys just eat plants like sane people.
Oh,
like
that's a right.
Well, for example, like if Joe Rogan went hunting and like killed like a grizzly bear and then brought it home and ate it, from an ethical standpoint, I don't think he's actually done much wrong there. Because like in order for a grizzly bear to like sustain itself, it has to kill like many herbivores, like many animals. And think about like all of the animal lives that you would be sparing, right? If you just killed the grizzly bear.
This is where things will get very, very divided in the movement. You know, to say something
for
like
sure.
that. Yeah, I guess you already know that. But to say it in that way, where you don't think he's doing something morally wrong, I understand, because just like a policeman isn't doing something morally wrong when they kill a murderer who is, you know, attacking somebody. Okay, like, no, they're not doing something morally wrong. We're really glad they do that service. And I mean, fuck. It's hard to argue against, so that's where I get stuck. But I also don't want to agree with you because it sounds really shit.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a divisive topic. We can
like.
I don't think
they look. Here's the thing. Like, it's also intention on some level. If you're like, yeah, I'll kill bears because I like killing, and you know, bears, they do all this shit. So yeah, I'll just kill bears then. Then like, you're not killing to save innocent beings, and
yeah, I would just say that they're doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. And as far as my goals are concerned, they're doing something that's kind of like instrumental, but they're certainly not doing it for the same reasons I would do it.
Well, dude, all right, we're gonna have to get into this now. So
yeah, we can save it for another time. We can save it for another time.
No, we're not gonna be able to just save it. Like, let me just say one or two things. Right, I can't now. We're too deep, bro.
Okay.
All right, so you saying this is fuck. I actually lost my train of thought, which might be a good thing. Tell me the last thing you said, bruz, if you remember.
So I think I was talking about what was the very last thing that I said?
It was about like bears, police. I just don't remember the last thing you said. You know, if you could bear, you were saying, yeah, it would be a good thing to do. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. Cool.
Okay.
Would it be something you would sign off on being a good thing to do? Because as we've discussed, is it a good thing to do? Like, yes, they do kill many animals, but overall, is this a good thing to do? And that's where I think we should, just like with crops, err on the side of caution, because I don't think we have some data, therefore some reason to strongly believe that yes, this was the right action here. Should we not? Say should we not say agnostic and therefore err on the side of caution?
Well, it actually kind of works in my favor, because if we're agnostic about the knock-on effects, the only information that we have to make actions on is that somebody's about to get ripped apart, right? Like, that's the only thing that we know, because we're agnostic about the rest, right? Damn. So if that's the only thing that we know, well, who wouldn't act in that case? I mean, you wouldn't choose not to stop an axe murderer because like what happens afterward is a black box. You'd be like, oh shit, somebody's about to get chopped to pieces, and you shoot the axe murderer in the head.
Dude, I hate that I can't argue against you right now. I don't know what to say. For anyone watching this, make a video right now about this where I am stuck in trying to progress defending this bear. Because I don't know how. Like, I mean, yeah, because you're protecting the innocent. If we're treating animals the same as we treat humans, logically, like, it does seem to follow. I can't sign off on it. It's just too freaky, dude. I hate the idea. Of being like, yeah, Joe, please go kill some bears for us. It just feels so wrong. But like, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No, man. Nah. Listen, I got it. Yes.
All right.
Cancel the videos, everyone. So, why we got to kill the bear, bro? All right, they're going to kill some animals. Let's give them some sort of vegan meat or something. Like, let's keep them fed so they're hungry and they don't want to kill anybody.
Yeah, so like a pragmatic objection would work, right? Like if we had the means to like separate prey from predator, yeah, don't kill the bears.
All right, cool. I'm sticking with that. And let's not go any deeper. This is dangerous territory. All right, cool, man. No, I appreciate all that, dude. That it's an interesting conversation. That's why a lot of people have been having it lately. That's why it got brought up. That's why Joe's talking about it on his show. It is interesting, and I don't expect these guys to get it at all because they're willing to eat factory farmed animals. So, at least
And neither one of them have had a rigorous philosophical discussion in their entire lives. So I fully wouldn't expect them to get very far in a conversation like this.
And at least our motives are what will protect the most animals. Sean's motives are, I'm going to make a lot of money from this diet, and man, steak's delicious. Steak tastes good. That's it.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible.
There. All right, so anyway.
It's violation too.
It's a right violation too. Yeah, they're bizarre. It's kind of
well, it's just a complete. It's convenient thinking. It's not based on facts. And it's one of the things that's been discussed ad nauseum. But Ted Nugent covered it.
Yeah.
That if you want to kill the most things, eat a vegan diet. If you're you made this argument that one cow is one life, and it's probably better to eat cows because if you eat a cow, that's an enormous animal, and you could eat that cow for like 6 months.
Yeah, how long does an elk last you, Joe?
Months.
Yeah,
months.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just
hundreds of.
Yeah. Anything to say to that, bro?
Yeah, they're just like being kind of like hypocritical, or they're not being consistent in how they're forming their arguments, because I know both of these people have put like crop deaths though as a counter argument to like vegan ethics before, but they're just like conveniently forgetting that there is animal death entailed by the way they procure their food as well. And hey, it's not just one animal, like just straightforwardly, it's not just one animal.
Just purely on the numbers, no, you can't make an argument there. But on top of that, as we've been discussing, certain things hold more value than others. For example, in most cases, all else equal, a predator does not have a stronger right to kill compared to a innocent being who has the right to live.
I would agree with that. Man.
Yeah, right. So, and the value of, dude, I can't believe I lost what I was thinking about again. What did he say? What did this dude say? Talking about value. Do I need to go back a little bit here?
I think they were talking about how much how much mileage they can get out of an average animal, how long it lasts if they kill it. Yeah.
All right. So the other thing to consider, the other things that we value, yes, suffering is something we consider when it comes to ethics. Amount of deaths is something we consider when we think of ethics.
Mm-hmm.
And rights violations is something we consider when we think of ethics. So even if you'd killed, let's say, the same amount of cows or the same amount of animals as a vegan each year, let's just say that was true. You still have to factor in, and let's say there was the same amount of suffering even, you still have to factor in that you are deliberately killing someone, like murdering someone, a sentient being, for their flesh versus defending your crops against beings who can't be reasoned with and are attacking your food supply. That's a different thing. And I
do think that intentions should be involved in the weighting to some degree, sure.
Yeah, it should be to be morally consistent. Otherwise, we're like, yeah, we're fine murdering for calories over there, but we're not fine murdering for some calories and a flavor over here. Like, let's be morally consistent. We, in a human case, would defend our crops against humans, as we do, as Shawn agreed in war, for example, if they're trying to destroy your food source, which is a great tactic, so because it kills us, because it affects our society negatively to the point where we could all starve to death. That's what's happening. So we're defending that. That's very different than being like, cows are yummy, I'm going to go kill that cow. Like, no, it's a fucking very different thing. All right, so yeah, I'm just saying it, weigh it all up. Even if all else equal, which is not true that they kill less animals and not true that there's less suffering, even if it was, we're still committing less rights violations, and that's extremely important to live in a rational society of being against non-violence as far as we possibly can. Being against violence, needless violence as far as we practically can.
pounds.
Yeah, I was just in Oregon, and that's the end of the Lewis and Clark Trail, right? And you read back there. Have you ever read like the history of the Lewis and Clark expedition?
But
those guys were eating up to 9 pounds of meat a day when they had a lot of game. They had 31 dudes, and they would go through every day they go through 4 deer,
and then
or an elk and a deer, or a buffalo,
they ate a lot of bear.
You just need to see the video. They're talking about eating bears right now, so I don't know how you feel about that.
Try it.
I'll bet you. Cam Haines shot a bear and he turned it into pepperoni sticks.
What kind of bear was it?
Black bear. But you can eat
grizzly
bears too. The problem with bears is, the real problem in society is that people view them as what my friend Steve Rennell likes to call charismatic megafauna.
Yeah.
Because we think of it as like Yogi Bear and only you can prevent forest fires and, teddy bears and all that shit.
Not teddy bears.
But yeah, they're fucking giant predators. But when you eat and you eat particularly brown bears that are coastal, which are the really large.
Did you find it?
I'll let it play. Nah, didn't find it, but until it'll come up soon, and I'll
Oh.
Whoops, what am I doing here? Whoops. Boom. It'll come up soon,
no.
and then I'll show you guys.
Are you there?
I'm here, bro.
It's doing that thing again.
Ah, shit! It did that shit again.
Yeah.
Hold up. You got me or nah?
Yeah, I got you.
You can. Okay. Yeah, I just got rid of the screen, dude. That's all.
Oh, okay.
So everyone can just see me and you right now. All right, bro. Well, I mean, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it just sucks to get strawmanned on the largest media platform in the history of humanity and not have the opportunity to defend yourself other than, comparatively speaking, placing some video at the ass end of the internet that barely anybody's going to see in comparison.
100%, dude. I saw that you were reaching out to him to try to get on the show, which would be great, at least just to give you an opportunity to defend yourself against him basically calling you insane. When all you do is defending animals with very logical arguments, even though maybe a little bit misspoke here and there, or once really. But the point is I don't know. The point is, dude, it'll all get out there in the end. You started a really big conversation. I think that's something you should be proud of. It's really, not many people get animal ethics in general on Joe Rogan, let alone a big brand new conversation happening about things. So yeah, bro,
that's true.
Bro, you planted a seed, and that's cool. All right, check this ridiculous shit.
It's muted, by the way.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it, dude. But it's just them cutting the fat out of bears and just boiling it and boiling it and boiling it. And Shawn's like, oh yeah, I got a mate that does that. He drinks it like a cup of coffee.
What the fuck?
Gross, these dudes don't know how they sound, eh? But it's bad, boys. Listen, I'm telling you, you guys look ridiculous. All right, bro. Well, all right, man. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your thoughts on all this. And sorry that you went through some bullshit because of me getting you on this shit. But overall, I think it was probably
all good. It's all good.
You nailed it, bro. And yeah, man, maybe one other time if we need a break from these guys, but in a month or something, if you want to go through the whole debate, maybe we'll do that.
Yeah, for sure, man. That sounds like fun.
All right, yeah, it'll be fun. I was going to say, we kind of did it here, but it'll be fun.
Yeah, I think there would be a lot of recap. I think we covered a lot of the debate here, actually, more than I expected to.
Yeah, me too, for sure. Maybe we could go through beforehand, choose a few interesting parts, and just finish the job. Might be a better move.
That's the ticket. That way we can section off some stuff that we didn't thoroughly cover here and cover that stuff.
For sure. Yeah, I can't go over all this same shit again. So annoying, man. I don't have the patience anymore. All right, yeah. Bro. Well, cool, man. I appreciate you having me on and helping me through all my technical difficulties earlier. Legend.
Yeah, no problem, man.
And yeah, for anyone who wants to follow Nick, he is not on Instagram anymore, but hopefully I can convince him to get back on. He's on Twitter as the Nutrivore, and you on YouTube now as well, right? You just got back on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as the Nutrivore too. So
same handle, yep.
Tons of interesting videos. Great debates. He'll teach you a lot if you watch his videos. about how to discuss these topics. And yeah, man, if you're interested more in the wild animal suffering conversation that's kind of been doing the rounds as of late, you've got a video on that. You remember what it's called? Should we pave over nature? I believe.
Oh yeah, should we pave over nature? Yeah, I think it's a discussion between me and somebody else. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it is. Cool, bro. And anything interesting coming up? People should be looking forward to, or a bit more of this usual stuff.
No, I mean, I just wrote a blog article for my Patreon earlier today about that study that purports to show that time-restricted feeding increases the risk of cardiovascular disease. I opined about that a little bit on my blog. Other than that, I don't have anything concrete, but I do actually... This is something that I want to start up again because I got a lot of enjoyment and fulfillment out of it, and I thought it was like really cool when I was doing it before. The books are open for debate coaching if anybody wants like coaching on debate, and it's very structured. There's like a curriculum, so you don't have to worry about it being like some like dodgy thing.
Cool, man. That sounds very interesting. Hopefully there'll be a lot of people that will want to sharpen their skills and level up. Cool.
For sure.
And I guess it's okay to say that if anybody wants to debate you, then they can get in your Twitter inbox and maybe you'll be interested.
Yeah, for sure. It just depends on the topic, but exactly. I'm usually always open to debate almost anything.
Mad. All right. You heard that, Joe. Anything, have him on. Cool, man. All right. It was a pleasure chatting to you, bro. Talk again soon.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And I'm going to stay on the stream and have a little chat and read some of these messages I got while we were on. So, actually, I don't know if I can figure out how to get you gone and do all this and do all that.
I think I just have to hang up. I think if I hang up, it'll be good.
All right, do that then, and we'll chat soon.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on. I'll catch you later.
Dude. See you, mate.
Yeah. See you.
Boom. Nick, what a legend. Thanks so much for coming on to him. So, I've seen you guys have been talking about weed a lot and all kinds of things. I'm just going to probably spend like 5 minutes here chatting and yeah, I'll just read through all of these comments. So, Aspie and the Nutrivore, glad this popped up. The Nutrivore alone can destroy most anyone in a debate or call them out on intellectual dishonesty. Yeah, I think it's really hard for people to argue with a lot of the things he said. But as I said, I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, but it's hard to argue some of this shit. So who knows? Maybe we'll adjust our views as vegans and see that there's, like we probably should include consideration for wild animal suffering. So far it makes sense to me, and I don't know what that will look like, but I like the idea of less suffering in the world. So yeah. Shawn Baker is the most immature debater out there when it comes to health and diet. He doesn't focus on intelligence or logic. No, he even said recently that his social media is mostly just for entertainment's sake, and now that makes sense because so much of what he puts on there, some of it is just, obviously ridiculous, and he puts a lot of jokes on there about vegans and stuff like that, which I don't really tend to necessarily mind, except that I don't care about people making jokes about vegans, but when you're making it to an impressionable audience who are now like, yeah, I never want to be vegan because of all these memes and jokes and shit that they've seen, and they think that being vegan is ridiculous. Actually, that's like a pretty major problem. You've put up a wall for these people from leading them to the healthiest diet for them. They'll help them live longer and reduce diseases, the most environmentally friendly diet, and the diet that produces the least suffering, death, and rights violations by far compared to what people are doing now. So it's actually a pretty massive disservice for the world that you're doing, Shawn and those like him. All right, I'll just smash through. Yeah, I never listen to Joe Rogan because he constantly shits on vegans. It's funny because, after James Wilkes debated Chris Kessler about Chris Kessler's rebuttal to the Game Changers documentary, Joe seemed to be pretty chill with vegans because James Wilkes is a badass vegan. He's I think he was an old UFC guy, He's shredded. He made this sick documentary. He's very sharp in the mind. He debates like he fights. Absolutely brutally destroyed that Chris dude. You know, so I think he had a newfound respect for vegans for like 2 seconds there. And then, you know, you can't have too much respect for vegans if you are someone like Joe, because it's just like completely contradictory to think vegans are making sense and doing good in the world and then acting the way that Joe does. Time to rap about Joe Rogan. I got like 4 lines about Joe Rogan because of this rap. But yeah, I should do a full one. Like, call him out on his bullshit. Maybe it'll have the same benefit as what calling out Shawn Baker and Paul Saladino, who is the internet's biggest clown. And he has still ignored me, but maybe I'll put him on my targets again. I can't stand when I see his face pop up. Very slappable face. James, you're one of the main reasons I went vegan 7 years ago. Keep up the good work, brother. Keep up the good work, you 7 years deep. That's excellent. Skateboard P. No, that's mad, bro. Because, you know, some people don't last 7 years, which is extremely disappointing. Some people I've helped go vegan. Some people that I have been very close with are not vegan anymore. And it's just like, how did you learn about veganism, go vegan, and then decide you wanted to go back to supporting slaughterhouses? Are you okay? Obviously not. What else we got here? Great work as always, James Aspie. We miss you here in Australia. Keep being the best inspiration ever. Plants for the win. Thank you so much, Emma, you legend. I appreciate all the encouragement. It really is good to hear from people who support you. So what else? I'll kind of smash through here. How good is live streaming? I'm going to get into it, guys. This took like 20 hours to finally make this live stream working, and it's still like done in the worst way. So, but I'm excited for it to do stuff like this, respond, get cool people on like Nick, get the conversation going, and see what happens. Gonna be awesome. Do live streams. How often do these guys do live streams? This is the shit I live for. I do them this is my first time. Nick does them pretty regularly, actually. He's back online as of recently, so follow him. He did one yesterday, and he does them pretty regularly. I hope to do them pretty regularly too. I don't really know what that looks like yet, but maybe it'll be a couple of times a week. Maybe sometimes it'll be a few days in a row or so. I don't know yet. What should I do? What do you think? All right, message a comment about Christspiracy. Christspiracy, guys, highly recommend. I watched it a while ago now, probably like 3 or 4 months ago, but whoa, it has a lasting impression, although it is full of information. So make sure you watch and like really pay attention, and you probably need to watch it over and over again to really grasp how much is in there. Personally, I think religion is ridiculous, but I am really glad that they made a documentary talking to religious people and using their religions in favor of doing the right thing by animals and no longer holocausting them all. You know, should be part of your religion already. But apparently it is. Maybe you'll watch a documentary and agree. I think it's going to get a really big conversation started, which I'm stoked about. And someone asked, is Christspiracy out? Yeah, it came out. Actually, I think it was released in cinemas like yesterday or a few days ago or something. But yeah, it just is out like now. Yo, Ray C, nice to see you too, bro. Someone said they saw the live start earlier and then it was deleted. Yeah, that's because I didn't mean to start a live earlier. Me and Nikki were like playing around, and we practiced like 10 unlisted ones that we kept having problems with. And then we did one, forgot to put it on unlisted so that nobody can see it pop up like a public live stream. And lucky we weren't talking any shit. And lucky we were wearing clothes. Someone said they love the thumbnail of this video. Thank you, Allison. Thank you for appreciating this marvelous artwork. I love it too. I'm really proud of it. We did it while we were figuring out everything. Me and Nick did it today. It's epic. I hope it gets Joe's attention. What else? Yo, Omar, what's up? Psychedelics potentially have a highly therapeutic effect. Agreed. Speaking from experience here, those things are good in the right doses, in the right time and place. Reversing PTSD and depression, yeah. Agreed. Cannabis is medicine. I agree with you guys. Cannabis is the best drug ever. It is never killed anybody. Find me another drug that can claim that. So, you know, cannabis for the win. And super medicinal as well. Very good for many different sicknesses. I vape cannabis every day and have never felt better. That is the way you do it, mate. This guy understands. Every day. Just like Nate Dogg said. I'm hungry for Just Egg sandwich. Just Egg. I haven't tried the vegan brand Just Egg yet, but I heard it's awesome. I'm so happy with what already exists. TVP, seitan, and scrambled tofu instead of eggs, and I don't need all this other vegan meats and stuff, even though occasionally it's nice to have, but people like out there waiting for cell meat and all that, I just don't, you know, what vegan meat already is so good and has been for decades. TVP's been around since I think the 60s. It's delicious. I eat it every single day. I love it every single day. It's the best. I really want to make TVP very famous. Alright, what else? Wild animals can't formulate the same intent as an axe murderer. That's true. And just like maybe a mentally disabled person can't formulate the same intent as an axe murderer either, really, but we would still protect the victim there and not just let them go with an axe and kill somebody, you know? It all comes down to intent. It also comes down to the victim and what they're going to go through. But wild animals are capable of intention. Yeah, I mean, I think they do intend to go and kill. They're hungry, so there's also that. But yeah, this is what I'm saying. This is deep. And I also don't really want to talk about this topic much because I just want people to change their diets, you know, and change from wearing leather and shit like that. Like, wild animals is just not my focus. Nikki messaged me, my wife. She said, you need a TVP phrase poster for the background. Think of phrases, everyone. Let's work together. I'll also ask ChatGPT. How about make TVP great again? Nah, because people don't know it was great already. I'll think of something. Leave it with me. People are laughing at me when I couldn't remember shit. Yeah, well, you'd be the same if you lived how I live. But I also want to point out that both times I lost what I was talking about, I got myself back there after like 20 seconds. So better than losing it forever, which is the worst feeling in the world. Alright, we're getting close to the end here. Anything much else? Oh no, I'm not getting close to the end. There's more. Whoops. Nikki asked me, hello wife. Jimmy, is it true? Oh, where'd it go? Okay, sorry, you disappeared. What the hell just happened? Ah, here she is. Jimmy, is it true that you will be streaming every week? Every week. Remember when I took a vow of silence and I vowed to not talk for a year? I will vow to stream every week for 1 month. Let's start there, shall we? See how we go. All right, but I'll still do that. That's a good little challenge. Why not? But now the ball's rolling, it's just going to be easy, you know? Now that everything's set up, I don't have to go through all this annoyance again. So, yeah, once a week will probably be very easy. Got an office for the first time, guys. Got a place to call home. Not living out of a suitcase for a change. Can get set up and start working on YouTube. Gonna be sick. There's no such thing as an ex-vegan who was a real vegan. Honestly, I wish that was true. And it maybe is true. But me and George Martin talked about it recently, him on his Carnism Debunked podcast, which everyone should check out. Lots of good conversations there. And he was telling me about a couple of activists who were full-on animal rights activists who are no longer vegan. And his theory is like they're narcissists or something like that, which is honestly the only thing that makes sense, because who would be vegan and then go back? Like, sounds like you never understood if you think going back is something okay for you to do. Like, nah, it's not. If I could, would I get Vegan Gains on the live stream? What do you mean if I could? You think I can't? I already have got him lined up for a live stream. I messaged him yesterday and he said for sure. So we're going to do it probably soon, I assume, if he's not too busy. So yeah, me and Vegan Gains, who is a big, massive inspiration of mine and a big, massive vegan. He's like an absolute weapon. So we'll be chatting soon about all things vegan and this and that. And he's also a really good guy to learn how to argue for veganism from, debate etiquette, and all sorts of stuff regarding health. He's a very knowledgeable guy, especially on vegan topics. Like, he is right up there too. You know, there's a lot of people that I would choose Vegan Gains as my number one choice to debate. Did I explain that right? Like, certain people that want to debate, you know, although I think like there's maybe better debaters in certain realms, there's overall, I think Vegan Gains is one of the best. And even certain times to the point that I would prefer he debated than anybody else. That's what I'm trying to say. Someone said, after watching this speech as your wake-up call, I went vegan overnight. I've been vegan 6 years now, thank you. Overnight? It took you a whole night after that amazing speech? Why didn't you go vegan that day? Nah, I'm just kidding. That is amazing. I love to hear it. That speech was, like, I just knew that halfway through I was like, this is going good. If I can do the same thing I did for the first half of this speech for the end half of this speech, we onto something golden here. And then, yeah, millions of views later, I got only hundreds of thousands on my YouTube, but there's a 10-minute clip of it that was posted on, it used to be called Best Video You Will Ever See. It was a Facebook page it was a Facebook page. And I think it got 14 million, or actually I don't remember anymore, around 10 million views. So it became a very popular speech. And yeah, I love it. I agree with everything I said, even though some things I do a little bit differently these days. I think as a general rule for how to think about like mindset stuff of how to view other vegans and things like that, I think it's top tier. Someone said everyone should do mushrooms, and I want to agree with that person. Everybody should definitely do mushrooms. The world would be a better place. And DMT too. I don't know if everybody should do DMT, but I also don't think everybody should cross it off their, like, put it on their I'll never do that list, because, well, it is an eye-opener, I hear. I need to figure out how to do scrambled tofu. Get block of tofu, go like this, scramble. And then add herbs and spices as you're cooking it in a pan, maybe some mushrooms, maybe some onion. Boom, it's done. That's it. I've never used TVP. How do you get it crunchy? If you want it crunchy, so this is what you do with TVP. Thank you for asking about TVP. If you want TVP, it comes dry. You can get little bits that are like mince, so small little bits of TVP. It's soy meat. Or it can come in bigger chunks or big chunks, or like steak kind of sizes. Hot water or boiling water, put the TVP in there, it soaks do that for like 10 minutes until it's soft. You eat one and you're like, yeah, that's cool. Probably, the big pieces do a bit longer, the other pieces do a bit shorter. And squeeze all the water out. So I put it in a colander. I get one of those mashed potato things and I just squeeze all the water out. And then I put it in a big bowl. Herbs and spices, just whatever. Soy sauce, paprika, I don't know. Whatever you like. And then it's good to go. You can eat it like that. It's delicious. Or you can, if you want it crispy like this person, Raymond is asking, then you just put it in the oven a bit or fry it a little bit, or I put it in the air fryer. And yeah, that's how you get it crunchy if you want it crunchy. What is TVP? Textured vegetable protein made from soy. Absolutely delicious. Oh, sorry, I read your private message out loud. Sorry, wife. I wasn't sure if you were like, oh yeah, you probably would have wrote that in a comment. My bad. Could have been worse. What about natto or natto? Yeah, that shit is disgusting. Don't recommend. Some people like it, but I don't know why. I think it's like, I don't not like many foods, but that shit is bad. Thank you, Nikki, for explaining TVP a bit more. Brad. Long live James Aspey. Cheers, Brad. Long live Brad, you legend. I hope I live long. I'm trying. Sometimes I don't want to, but overall I would like that. Living long with my wife and my cats. Chris said, love you, James. Thanks, brother. I love you too. This person, Austin, said there's nothing wrong with soy protein at all, but actually the person's talking about soy protein isolate. I don't know if you're talking about the same thing, but maybe they're a little different. Yeah, it'll be fun with vegan gains for sure. All right, see, I'm catching up now. You ever been snowboarding down in Australia, James? Yeah, many, many times. I also did a season snowboarding in Australia, and it was not as good as Japan or New Zealand or Canada, but it's more sunny days, and it can be really good. You can have a really good dump of snow and get some mad snowboarding in. So the hills aren't as big in that as well, but yeah, it can be good. It can be a bit slushy at times. And you might go down and just get no snow, and all the season starts late, and yeah. Nick, James, yo Nick, I noticed you smoke weed as opposed to vaping. What do you think it's healthier for you to vape as it doesn't combust to the material? I like to do both, brother. I like to mix it up a little bit. I am under the impression from a study we've read that one joint a day is basically pretty much harmless. And I don't smoke more than that. If that, I don't even smoke that every day, most days. So it'd be, yeah. And then, yeah, we vape as well. We just got one, so I'm going to be using it more. But sometimes it's just not practical to vape, and I don't know. Smoking a joint is smoking a joint, has to be done from time to time. So Vegan Gains thinks Happy Healthy Vegan isn't a real vegan because allegedly he might feed his cats meat. Do you have any thoughts on this? Yeah, I think that if that person can get vegan cat food, it would be good for them to feed their cats vegan. Why wouldn't they? If they can be perfectly healthy, they haven't had some weird problem where for some reason that wouldn't happen. I don't know if I'd say they're not vegan. In a way, I know where Vegan Gains is coming from, but I think it's an ignorance thing with a lot of people. Cats are carnivores we have in our head, and thinking about doing the right thing by animals for a lot of people means, like, when it comes to cats, and I'm not saying this is right, this is just how they think, that especially formulated cat food is like wrong because it's unnatural and they like eating meat. But if you can get your cat perfectly healthy with a food that doesn't involve slaughtering other animals, many of them over a cat's lifetime, then hell yeah, that would be way more preferable, of course. What do I think of antinatalism? I don't know, I got some pretty good points, I think. I'm not an antinatalist, but I am definitely I don't want to have any children-alist. And I won't be, so that's good. But I don't think it's wrong to have children, I don't, although, like, it's hard. If you can be pretty sure you can give them a good life, You know, that's one thing. And then you can never really be sure about that. So you are kind of forcing someone into existence that never necessarily agreed to be here. That's kind of hectic. Like, especially in the world we live in, it's a hectic world. So, you know, I definitely wouldn't ever say people shouldn't have kids if they really want to have kids. Not at all. Like, there's a lot of beautiful aspects to that, but it ain't for me, and that's really all I care about on this topic. All right, yes, we got to the end, homies. You wrote a lot of cool comments. Thanks very much for doing that. Yeah, or you could adopt. That's a good point. I don't know, but then, like, if nobody has kids, then end of human civilization, and that sounds like a pretty big loss, even though there's a lot of bad shit that we do. So yeah, but anyway, guys, how long has this been going? What a first 2 hours. Yeah, that's not too bad, actually. That's pretty good. Destroying Joe, nice, thank you. I love Joe for most things, you know, but when it comes to animal ethics, that guy needs an education. And he needs to shut the fuck up about vegans and stop talking so much shit, because he looks like an idiot, he's wrong, and he's inciting violence. So, yeah, that dude really needs a better education on this. Like, and it's extremely important because he is just putting the worst messages out there to millions and millions of people consistently. And he's holding back progress, moral progress, and he's holding back ending horrific treatment of innocent beings. So, get your shit together, Joe. Hope you watch this, bro. Who knows, maybe he will. Have me on the show, and I'll bring Dr. Avi with me, and we will explain a few things to you. But anyway, that is enough for one day for my first stream. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you're looking forward to more. If you have any recommendations for things you want me to react to, or topics you want me to cover, or anything like that, then I suppose you should DM me on Instagram, because I don't know if you can reach me through YouTube. I don't think so. DM me or email me at jimmycashby@protonmail.me, and we'll do it. So that's it. Will these lives stay public? Dang stream. Cheers, Austin. Will they stay public? What do you think? Should I keep them public? I'm tossing and turning about that. Like, I don't know. Maybe I should keep it public so that everybody can watch. Or I was thinking I would probably be more likely to just clip them. But something like this, where it's like one topic, you know, we wanted to discuss this one video, then yeah, I'll probably just upload this whole thing. But when it comes to a live stream where it's 2 hours and 20 different videos we smash through, you know, like, I don't know about that. What do you guys think, though? Can you give me some feedback on that? I don't really know. I probably, for at least a while, just to err on the side of caution, I will probably upload them and leave them there for some amount of time, and then maybe at some point I'll decide, nah. Cool. All right, boom, I'm rolling. Cheers, good night, everyone. Just wanted to say, why not have a voluntary extension that means no more suffering? Yeah. Keep streaming? You may keep streaming right now, or like in my future? What are you talking about, Philip? I think I'm done for now, bro. Like, you don't know how much time has gone into making this stream work today. All of it. I was up till 4 in the morning, and then I got up at like 10, and then 8 and came here and trying to figure this shit out, and I suck at this stuff. And there's been some ridiculous technical difficulties. All right, cool. Anyway, it was nice to chat to you guys. You know, I usually just put messages out to my audience, unless I meet them in person. I don't usually get to like speak to people in real time like this. So I've enjoyed it. It's been cool. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for all your questions. Thanks for tuning in, and speak to you guys next time.